Good evening, everyone. We're going to get ready to get started with tonight's Candidates Forum. We're going to open up with the word of prayer, then we're going to give a welcome and some instructions. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for an opportunity to come together as a city to be able to hear from those who will represent us, who will stand for us in the governmental offices in our city. We pray tonight that we will be able to hear hearts, hear minds, hear intents, that we will be able to make sound judgments and be able to make judgments based on facts and not on what we may have heard. We pray that through our conversation tonight, that the hearts of each candidate will be displayed and they will be able to share clearly their plans, their love for our city, and what they can do to help those who live here. Bless each and every one that's a part of this discussion, those who shall speak, those that shall hear. We thank you for all that shall take place. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. Just some instructions or some to help you out. If you need to go to the restroom, the door that you came in by the back, there are restrooms right there. The men and the women's restroom are both out that door. And if you need some water, we do have bottled water. If you just lift your hand or just give us a look, we'll make sure that you give some. On behalf of the Restoration Christian Fellowship Church, I'd like to welcome you to Restoration today. We're so glad to have you here. We're so glad to be able to host this event. We think it's very important and very critical as we look at those who we're going to be voting on in a short period of time. They're going to represent our city. So at this time, I'd like to introduce the moderator of today, and that will be Pastor Shane Russo, who will be taking over at this time. Pastor Shane. God bless you, sir.
Thank you. All right, this will be probably the most I talk is out at front. The rest of it's refereeing, so, and hopefully I don't have to do any of that. I'm looking at y'all. Hopefully I don't have to do any of that. This forum is presented as a collaboration of ACTION, which is the Alliance for Congregational Transformation Influencing Our Neighborhoods, I Vote Black, and the Trumbull County Interdenominational Ministerial Alliance. It needs to be noted that ACTION specifically is a nonpartisan organization and does not endorse any specific candidate. So everybody was invited to come here. All the candidates were invited multiple times. If they're not here, they either responded that they wouldn't, which there were a couple that responded that way, or more likely they just didn't respond at all. So it needs to be noted, though, everybody had a chance to be here. Also, from the beginning in the planning, specifically with the questions that will be asked, even though they are President of the Board and Executive Director of ACTION, respectively, Pastor Todd Johnson and Pastor Jeff Stanford, recused themselves from any part of the question developing process for obvious reasons, their involvement in the races or being close proximity to somebody who is. Any involvement they had was purely administrative, such as helping secure this location, or Pastor Jeff is going to give the closing words at the end. I want to introduce our timekeeper, Mark Robb. He is ACTION Secretary and also a member of Churchill United Methodist Church. Also, when you came in, you were given a note card. That note card is for you to write down any questions you might have for specific candidates. You can write those down, and you can give them to one of the debutantes from the Warren Civic League. There will be one or two roaming around, so they'll be collecting those up throughout the evening. I want to introduce our panelists tonight. We have Pastor Avon Odom from Friendship Baptist Church. We have Ms. Paulette Eddington, owner and CEO of Tri-Unity, and the rector, Robin Woodbury, who is rector of Christ Episcopal Church. We thank them for their involvement this evening. Also, one final note, and this one is specific to the candidates. While the questions asked of each of you will be specific to your candidacy and its place here in Warren, none of them are meant to anger or antagonize anybody. They will, however, be based on hot-button issues surrounding your candidacy, your potential leadership of the city of Warren. And so I ask that any feelings that anybody has, do not direct them at our panelists. They're just reading off a paper that they've been given. Let's be respectful to each other. Obviously, you can run your candidacies however you want, but we are in a house of God, so let's act like it. With that, let me briefly cover the rules for this forum. Each candidate will be allowed 3 minutes for an opening statement and then 2 minutes at the end for a closing statement. You will have 2 minutes to answer your question, and if the question is directed at more than one candidate, that other person will also have 2 minutes to respond to that question before we move on. Every ward with a contested race will be offered questions. Those who are incumbents or who are running uncontested were invited to come give a statement. You will also have time to do that. During the opening statement and throughout the entire forum, our timekeeper will alert candidates of their time remaining with signs of 1 minute and 30 seconds. So Mark is sitting here with a tablet that has the time on it. It will change color at 1 minute. It will change color again at 30 seconds. It will beep when it's time to stop, right? There you go. All questions were pre-approved by a committee formed by Action, I Vote Black, and TCIMA. We will entertain questions by the audience, as stated before, and they will be picked and vetted by the panelists. The entire forum is to go no longer than 90 minutes or so. And the order that we're going to do this tonight will be our Warren Municipal Court candidates first, then any unopposed city council members may make their 3-minute statement, and then we will do the 4 city council races. Clear as mud? All right, then let's get into it. I would like to invite the candidates for Municipal Court Judge, Irene Makritis and Natasha Natal, to just sort of gather and be ready. Who would like to give their opening statement first? Whichever one. Ms. Makritis, you can come first. Right. You're going to come right up to here. Yep, sorry. So 3-minute opening statement, and then opening statement from Ms. Natal, and then the questions will come.
Good evening. My name is Irene Makritis, and I'm running for Judge of the Warren Municipal Court. I have been an attorney here in Warren, Ohio for the past 44 years. My office has been here in downtown Warren at 183 West Market Street, right on the square, right across the Trumbull County Common Pleas Court. I have practiced in the Warren Municipal Court for over 44 years. I've handled every case there, from traffic to criminal to landlord-tenant cases to breach of contract cases, personal injury cases. You name it, I have done it. We handle everybody we handle all cases in our office. We handle civil cases, criminal cases, we handle federal cases. We handle a lot of employment cases. Those take us to the Youngstown Federal Courthouse, to the Cleveland Federal Courthouse, the Akron Federal Courthouse, to as well as the Mahoning County Common Pleas Court. I have enjoyed practicing law, and I've enjoyed serving my many, many clients. I have lost count of them. I think I have thousands of clients by now, as you can imagine. I have enjoyed helping them in their greatest time of needs. At times when they have lost their homes, at times when they are facing a foreclosure, when they're losing their car, when they're losing their jobs, when they need assistance in asserting their rights in a sexual harassment case, when they need someone to fight for them in before a jury. I love jury trials. That's something that I've enjoyed my entire career. I've handled dozens and dozens of jury trials, criminal in the beginning, because I started out in the prosecutor's office of Trumbull County back in the day when Walter Dragalovich was still practicing. I've also practiced for the Trumbull County Public Defender's Office, and I've also had a private practice where I handled criminal cases in my private practice. At the moment, I'm practicing law with my son, Dimitri Makritis, and my nephew, Theo Cafanteris. And Theo is the new addition to our office. He even handles the patent and trademark cases for us. So there's very little that we do not do in our office. We enjoy representing people. We enjoy taking care of their needs. We enjoy serving people. We treat people with respect. We treat people with dignity. We don't send anybody away. And if we can help them, we will. And if we don't know how to help them, we'll find a way to help them. On a rare occasion, we'll refer them out to someone else. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Natasha Nadel. I am the present Warren Municipal Court Judge, and I am hoping to continue to be your Warren Municipal Court Judge on November 5th. Prior to becoming the Warren Municipal Court Judge, I have served at the Ohio Attorney General's office. And at the Ohio Attorney General's office, one of the positions I was assigned to was the Special Prosecutions Unit. I have also been a Special Prosecutor for the Mahoning County Prosecutor's Office, where I was entrusted with prosecuting all violent or sexually based offenses against women and children. I prosecuted child rape cases, murder cases, child murder cases, child pornography cases, kidnappings, domestic violences, very violent offenses. I have been involved in investigations and prosecutions, unfortunately, of cases that we only see on scary movies. And I have seen the impact of those cases on communities. I've seen the impact of those cases on all individuals. And I did that. I tried more than dozens and dozens of cases. I tried death penalty cases. And I also, in those positions, I have taught law enforcement. I have taught law enforcement seminars on how to proceed in cases, how to proceed in investigations, and proceeding investigations, obtain evidence, and maintain that evidence in a way that maintains the integrity of that case, as well protecting a defendant's rights and protecting a victim's rights. I have taught seminars to experts, to sexual assault nurse examiners. I have sat with other attorneys and showed them how to try cases in a court. I have been invited into other jurisdictions throughout Ohio, and by being invited in, I would assist other jurisdictions in very important and serious cases, and sometimes I would take a case for the prosecutor. So I have been trusted not only in northeastern Ohio, but throughout the state. I have gone through many different interviews and vetting processes to have the positions that I've had, and this is not actually my first time on the bench. I actually was previously a common pleas court magistrate. So considering the experience that I had, the depth of the experience that I have in a courtroom, I believe that my experience is unmatched in this case. Since I have been in the Warren Municipal Court, I have brought new and innovative ideas and programs to the Warren Municipal Court, which I will continue to do. I have brought a very successful Steering Clear program to help people with suspended licenses, to take a proactive approach. So not as to wait for an individual to come before court with an issue, but to try to stop an individual from having an issue and give them that information so that they never have to step foot in a court. I had a very successful safe surrender program this summer that happens at the Ohio Attorney General's office. I brought that here, where the majority of individuals that came to my safe surrender program, their entire cases were resolved. Not only were their KPSs lifted, everything was resolved. And I was able to do that because I got all the right individuals there to make sure that was able to be accomplished. I am hosting a human trafficking seminar next week. I have opened the courts for educational purposes to children because I believe it's important for everyone to understand the criminal process. So I would look forward to continuing to serve our community and be a judge, not only in the court, but also out in the community to make sure that our community continues moving forward in a positive way. Thank you.
Hello? Okay. This question is for Judge Natali. Your Steering Clear workshop has been recognized locally. What has its success rate been in helping participants avoid reoffending?
Well, I have individuals that reach out to me that actually come into court after and come and talk to me, and it has been very successful with regard to individuals that have come before the court or come to the program. What I have done is I have brought in the BMV from Columbus. BMV comes there, individuals with their suspended licenses. They come in, they get all the information that they need to move forward. The information I received is that the vast majority of the individuals have actually been able to get their licenses back, and every single person that has come to the event has been able to leave with the information that they need to move forward in obtaining their license. Now, when people come in, they may not know the reason that their suspension exists. So they may come in and find out that they are not eligible for a certain period of time. So in those circumstances, those people are precluded from getting their license until a certain time frame has expired. However, the individuals that come, such as maybe there might be a child support suspension, well, they need to get that, they need to start making payments, get something set up with child support. But all the individuals that come in, they 100% all find out why, they receive the information, and at that point, they can move forward. There are even some people that come to the court to ask questions, clarifying questions. I always make myself available to those individuals, and even outside of the BMV purpose, Steering Clear also, I tried to make it a one-stop shop for all different community needs. And so with regard to your question, there are other individuals that come that may not have an issue with the driver's license. They might come because they have an issue that they need to address with community legal aid, such as an expungement or a sealment. They may have an issue where they're trying to get some funding for needs such as St. Vincent de Paul, providing people with emergency money for housing. Home for Good provides people with money for maybe like a reinstatement fee. So I also link them with these services, and when they leave, they have all the information from those services, and they start that process to determine their eligibility. So it has been very successful within the community, and I have people that constantly come before the court asking when we're doing it again, and that would be something I would continue to do throughout my time in the Warren Municipal Court.
Thank you. While you're there, Judge, stay
Yes.
right there.
Yes.
We'll get you while you're standing. What do you believe distinguishes your judicial philosophy or approach to justice from your opponents?
Well, I have experience throughout the state coming into circumstances where there have been, and I'm going to take a step back. Growing up in our area, I know the reputation of the Warren Municipal Court, I have to say, from people in my life to where people may not have felt that they had a fair shake, okay? I have people in my life that were defendants, that were victims, and throughout my career, and especially at the Attorney General's office, I was the person that was called in to go to different areas to bring fairness, integrity, impartiality, transparency. And I have all of this experience throughout the state and throughout my career, because a prosecutor isn't just about pursuing a conviction. It's about justice, and it's about making sure that the right thing is done. And in my position, I have been called in to be that person to do the right thing and to make sure that justice is fair, everyone has equal access to justice, and the way that is accomplished, in my experience, is that because you need to base everything on the rule of law. It's not supposed to be something based on where a person lives, what their zip code is, what kind of job they have, what their status is in life. It's supposed to be based on the rule of law and the evidence in a case. And my experience throughout my career has been to be fair, impartial, and unbiased. And I bring that same integrity and determination to do the right thing so that everybody knows when they come into my court, they're going to understand what's going on, they're going to know what happens, and every time that there is a question that's asked about me, for example, of changing a charge from one thing to another charge, it must always be based on the evidence. That has always been my experience, and it is very important to me that everything is based on the rule of law and the evidence in the case. And I will tell you that there has been some circumstances to where a charge will attempt to be changed from one thing to another based on what type of job a person has. Well, that's not fair. Justice. And I will decline that every single time. Because in order for everyone to know that they have a fair shake and to know that their voice is heard and know that what is being done in the system is what is right, it needs to be based on the rules and the evidence. And I have never been disciplined, and I have never been questioned my integrity by the Supreme Court on anything.
So, Judge, while you're there, one more question. we've heard a lot about your experience, and we appreciate that. But what I would like to know is this is a heavy job. It's a heavy responsibility. So if you could share with us today, what are you doing personally for your own self to make sure that you are treating everyone with care, which is compassion, acceptance, respect, encouragement, and support. So what steps are you doing for your personal self to make sure that when you are entering into the courtroom, that you are not dealing with your own personal belief system or anything else when you do that?
Well, I have to tell you, a personal belief system, and like, for example, politics, right? Politics has no place in a courtroom. What is happening in a person's personal life has no place in a courtroom. I have been trusted to be the person proceeding on cases in my prior positions and making sure that every person's case is decided on their case. That is exactly what a judge is supposed to do, and that is what I do in every single case. So when there is something that has to deal with a case, I go into court, for example, and if anyone's ever been in my court, and I will tell you, anybody can come in and watch my court. I know some people in here have come into my court and watched. I will always ask questions in court on the record, because to ensure that everybody knows that any decision made is based on the rules, based on the facts of the case, based on the law. I will oftentimes state in court the rule that I'm citing to. I will talk about the purposes and principles of sentencing. I will talk about the bond factors I'm required to consider, because when I am saying what it is that I am determining, I'm citing to the rule, then I'm citing to the evidence that's presented to me, and then I'm making a decision. By stating all of that, I'm being fully transparent, because I am saying these are the decisions that are being made and this is why. And that transparency is very important. That logic and that ability to cite to the law and to be able to apply the law to the facts is certainly a way to ensure that the decisions are being made based on the information presented in the court and not anything presented outside of the court, not politics, not anything outside of the courtroom. And that is very important for every single judge to be able to do.
Thank you. I have a question for Judge McCritis. Thank you very much. We appreciate you. Good evening.
Good evening.
Recently, there was a situation in which you were held in contempt of court. How do you believe that experience has shaped your understanding of the justice system and accountability within it?
I had a jury trial back in June of this year. It involved a case of a Palestinian woman who had suffered 2 accidents back to back, one in May of 2018, I believe, and one in October of 2018. This case was previously filed and dismissed and refiled, which is permitted under the laws of Ohio. When this case was refiled, the same discovery was issued to my client and to my office, and we will answer those discovery questions. Unfortunately, Judge Rice, I believe, was not aware of the fact that once discovery is completed in the previous case, it applies to the refiled case. And there were some motions that involved the dismissal of my client's case for lack of proof. And we were arguing in chambers, not in court, about the situation that allows my client's previous discovery answers to be applied in the second case. Unfortunately, Judge Rice and I just had a disagreement on that. And in chambers, I believe we were just talking back and forth. And apparently I must have talked over her. But I was fighting zealously for my client, because had this been permitted, her case would have been dismissed. There would have been no jury trial. And she would have lost her day in court. And that's what we all fight for, is our day in court, and to be heard and to be understood. So in chambers, I believe, unbeknownst to me, I wasn't aware of it actually, so when she said you're in contempt, I said, oh, it wasn't intentional, it was accidental. And those things happen when you're in court and you're fighting for your client zealously.
How many voters may not, I'm sorry, many voters may not be familiar with your background or your work in the community. How would you introduce yourself to residents who may be hearing your name for the first time?
I was born in Greece, but I have lived here since the age of 10. I've been raised here in Warren, Ohio. I'm a product of the Warren City Schools. I went to Elm Road Elementary, Turner Junior High, Warren G. Harding High School. I went to the Youngstown State University, and then I went to the Toledo Law School in Toledo, Ohio. I have practiced law in downtown Warren, practically in the same office for 44 years. I have served our community from the bottom of my heart. I've helped everybody and anybody who comes to my office. There's a thing that I would not do for the people of Warren. Now, as a lawyer or as a judge, nothing gives me greater pleasure than serving somebody who is in need. Nothing. Not the money, not the prestige, nothing. Serving people when they need you, nothing compares to that. And that has been the joy of my life, of my career, and hopefully my joy as a judge, if I'm given that opportunity.
So, Judge, can you share with us what distinguishes your judicial philosophy from your opponent?
My judicial philosophy is that you have to look at each case individually and separately. There are no two cases alike. None. No two defendants alike. Nothing is the same. Every case is different. Do you have a first offender? Do you have an 18-year-old? Do you have a 60-year-old? Do you have a 90-year-old? All these things factor in. You have to consider all the facts. All the facts. You have to make a decision that is fair to that person, that is fair to that community. You do not treat first offenders harshly. You give them an opportunity to go to treatment, get counseling, to rehabilitate themselves. They need to be given a probation officer who's going to stay on top of them, make sure that they do whatever they're supposed to be doing. Yet they need to have somebody that they can report to and be held accountable for. And if they feel, that's when you usually you suspend the sentence. You give them whatever you're going to give them. 5 days, 10 days, 30 days, but you suspend the remainder of the sentence, which is 6 months. If they repeat, if they get themselves in trouble, if they don't comply with the counseling that they need, with the treatment that they need, then you bring them back again. So there's many ways you help somebody get back on their feet. That is the goal. Somebody has made a mistake. All of us make mistakes. None of us here are perfect. We all fail at some point in our life. And if we're first, any one of us can be in court for the first time. And some of you, I'm sure, have been in court, but many of you have not. If you go to court for the first time, you're scared to death. But you need somebody with compassion, with common sense, with understanding and wisdom and thoughtfulness and a good heart and compassion and empathy to help you out, get back on your feet. That would be my goal. I think that's one of my major differences with my opponent. Absolutely.
We're gonna go ahead and move into closing comments now. So you have 2 minutes for. You might as well just do it since you're standing there, and then we will move on to the next bit. So 2 minutes for your closing statement.
I want to thank you for inviting me here today. I appreciate the opportunity for people to get to know me. Although I have practiced here for 44 years and have represented many people, a lot of you do not know me. I am here to ask for your support and for your vote on November 4th. I believe as a judge, it will be a fair judge, a compassionate judge, a judge who will use common sense and do the right thing. That comes from experience. I have 44 years of experience. Nothing can beat that. Nothing can beat. Someone can look at the whole picture and make the appropriate decision for that particular individual in that particular case. That is invaluable. I will give everybody the right to a jury trial. There's nothing more important than the right to a jury trial. Nothing. When you are in front of the jury of your peers, you have the right to evaluate your case and make a fair decision. You're equal to everybody. You can take anybody on with a jury trial, and you can assure yourself of a right to a decision, a fair decision that's appropriate to your case. I ask you to allow me to serve our community for 6 years. I believe I can make a big difference to the city of Warren. I have practiced in that court for 44 years. I know what we did before Judge Nato came to that courtroom. And we're not doing that today, unfortunately and sadly. I would like to, Judge Geisingam has endorsed me. I would like to, he was the one who held that seat before me. And when he retired because he was ill, Judge Dewan appointed Judge Nato to finish his term, and she's been on the bench for a year and a half. I would like to finish some of the things that Judge Geisingam has not done, and a lot of more things that I would like to do for that court. I want to be given that opportunity to do that and help the city of Warren, help our community, as I have done for 44 years. Thank you.
Attorney McCreedis talks about how Judge Geisingam has endorsed her and that she's been practicing in that court for 45 years. I will tell you, when I first started in that court, there were attorneys that approached me about changing charges to reduce charges. One of the charges was domestic violence cases, where I was approached and told, well, this charge needs to be changed. We need to amend this to something else. And I asked the reason why, and I was told because the person had a good job. That is the court that I came into. So I don't need an endorsement from Judge Geisingam, because I came in there and that's what I was told was the practice of that court. I declined it and I will deny it every single time, because in order to have a fair court, it must be based on the rule of law and the evidence in a case. And that evidence are the facts that give rise to that complaint. It's not where a person lives, it's not their zip code, it's not the job that they have or the good job that they have. It is not that. That is not fairness, and that is not justice. I have worked for fairness and justice my entire career. That is something that I have done throughout the state. My reputation speaks for itself with the fact that I've never been disciplined by the Supreme Court, nor have I ever been held in contempt of court. And if you are an attorney, you are entrusted and responsible for following all of those rules at all times. If you cannot follow them as an attorney, then can you follow them as a judge? And when I first started in Warren Municipal Court, I brought new, innovative ideas and workshops for our community, because this is the community where I grew up. These are the people that I care about, and I will continue to do that. And when I brought those programs in, and when I started the Steer and Clear workshop, I was told by the people that were there, why are you doing that? People can just figure that out when they come to court. I don't want people to have to wait to come to court. I want them to get that information in advance so that they can resolve the issues. I believe that being a judge is a public servant, not just in the court, but outside of the court. And I will continue to bring innovative ideas. I am in the early stages of planning a Warren Municipal Court drug court. We don't have a drug court in Warren Municipal Court. Not only am I going to bring a drug court to Warren Municipal Court, I'm going to seek certification from the Supreme Court. I have already been in numerous conversations about this, and I started this process back in January, before I knew I had an opponent. But unfortunately, it did have to wait until after the election for me to actually implement it. But by being certified by the Supreme Court, that means that it's going to be best practices. That means that I'm going to bring to the community more innovative ideas, more new things for our court. Now, I am not harsh. I follow the rule of law. And sometimes as a judge, I have to say no. And there is no rule that requires a person to, oh, my time's up. Well, I'm going to stop there. But I want to let you all know that I look forward to serving as your next Warren Municipal Court judge, and I would be honored to have your support. Thank you.
Check. Eric. Thank you. Let's give, yes, all right. A couple of points of order. One of them, the first one, totally my fault, because I didn't know this until about halfway through. As we are moving forward, if we are, when we get to races that are contested and we have more than one candidate here, the challengers will speak first. The ones who are sitting will go second. That was me. So I was trying to be fair, and I broke our own rule. So with that, we're going to invite any unopposed council race candidates to come make a statement. If you are here, you would like to come, and you have 3 minutes to give whatever statement you want.
Well, good evening. My name is Tina Milner, and I have the pleasure of being elected to be Warren's Second Ward City Council person. Turn that off. I don't have a challenger in November, so I will be on City Council starting January 1st of 2026, if Lord willing and the creek don't rise. I've had a lot of good people that were previous council people. I know I have some big shoes I'm going to have to fill. One of them was Al Novak. Al Novak was adamant about neighborhood cleanup. My first neighborhood cleanup I participated in was with Al Novak and Novillas, which was Alcan Aluminum at that time. So in honor of Al Novak, I have reached out to Novellas to have a Make a Difference Day cleanup. They are going to be hosting it on October 25th. I do have a flyer if anyone's interested. There are community service hour letters that will be given to anyone that needs them. So I know I have some big shoes I have to fill, but just to honor Al, I went ahead and reached out to Novellas to coordinate this cleanup on October 25th. I'm not sure the direction I want to take as the elected city council person. So in order to find out what the needs are in the ward, I will hold listening campaigns based on each precinct, because I don't want to get on city council and make decisions for people that's not what they would like to see in the ward. So we will start holding listening campaigns towards the end of December, beginning of January, because my whole goal is to be a public servant. I have ideas, but more importantly, I want the ward to know their voice is heard. Residents need to know that they are heard. They need to know that their opinions do matter. We see such a low voter turnout when it is a non-presidential or non-governor's race year. People need to know and need to come out to support the candidate of their choice. So when decisions, when elections are decided in a primary and I have no challenger in November, I mean, yeah, I'm going on to city council, but I would love to see the community get more involved as far as voting for the candidate of their choice, instead of allowing someone else to pick that candidate to go on into the November election. Your local government is the most influential, is the government that you can influence the most. Locally influence government. When your roads aren't plowed or you want your roads resurfaced, pick up the phone and call Washington, D.C. You won't get an answer, but you will get some alphabet boys knocking on your door. You can actually influence your local government, and we've got to do more. Okay, we've got to do more to get residents engaged and involved in that process. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, at this time, we will invite any of the council at large candidates to come up. I think we have at least one. Yes, we do. All right, well, then you'll get about 15 minutes. Opening statement, probably 3 questions, closing statement, okay?
For anybody who does not know me, my name is Carol, and I've served on Warren City Council for quite a long time. First as the 6th Ward council person, and then now as at large. And I'm excited about this new term. I'm excited about working with the council people that I work with. And I have to say, and I'm not trying to gloat you or anything, but just to say that this new group of people on council are ready to serve, and they came up with their own ideas and creative ideas of how they wanted to move the city forward. And so it's been a blessing to me because I don't have to do their work, and I don't have to answer too many of their phone calls, and so I'm proud of that. But the last time that I came before you to talk about what I had done on council, I didn't get to talk about my ARP funds because mine had not been spent yet. And while I did contribute to street repair with the other councilmen's, we $650,000 we put into make sure that more streets and sidewalks got done, and that was universal throughout the city. But at the end of the ARP funds is when I got to spend my money. And I did exactly what the President of the United States said to Joe Biden when he said that he wanted those funds to go directly to the people who were affected by COVID the most. And so I put on I hosted a wellness event for senior citizens some of which had not come out of their house since COVID. Wanted a day of wellness for them, a nice luncheon, and at the end of that, they had door prizes and exercises, and at the end of it, they received a $150 gift card that really, really impacted how they would feed themselves for the next month or so. So I was very, very proud of that. But then we always talk about how we lost Rebecca Williams, and we're sitting in this building right now, and we always come here and reminisce. But it was important to me that that money touched the hands of our children, and so I got to partner with Restoration Church and Triunity and other groups too, Artistic Dance Studio, who we provided a whole year of dance, gymnastics, ballet, everything for a whole year for 10 students to learn the arts. And also with Triunity that has a program that is sustainable for years to come, because they're teaching young people sewing and quilting and crochet and everything. And it's sustainable because the parents are involved. But at Restoration Church, it was more children, maybe about 50 children or more, who came here and learned performing arts for a whole entire summer. I am so proud of that, because those are the kind of things that last a kid forever. And those are the memories I grew up with, and I wanted to pass them on. And so I'm out of time. Well, they're not here, so can I have their time?
I will say this. You can, but you're eating into your question time.
Okay, this is my question time.
That we have some repeat council and also a few new council. I believe in passing down wisdom, and you've gained a lot of wisdom in your time of being a part of council. What are a few things that you would pass on to our younger council people and our new council people?
They know, and they know they will hear from me usually at every council meeting if it's necessary, because it's important to me that council knows our power. We are a strong council, weak mayor form of government, and oftentimes situations don't come up like authorized strength. That's our strongest thing. We decide how many people are going to work in the city. We decide their pay and how they're going to fit into that budget. And I make sure that whatever comes up, if it's something that I know that they have not heard before, I bring it up and I let them know what the rule is and their power in it. It is important to me that council stands strong all the time, because that's your voice. We're you. And so if you can't say it, I have to learn it so that I can say it, and so does other council people. So that's my job. I feel it's my job. Okay, well, my closing, okay. This is an exciting time in our city. I'm so fortunate to be at large now, because where ward councilmen are working on issues and things to bring in their ward, and I get to assist because I am chairman of Health and Welfare. And the quality of life in our city really comes out of that Health and Welfare Committee, because we talk about parks and things that's going on in our city. So I'm glad I get to lead that. But now the big stuff is beginning to happen, and you'll see, in spite of the negativity that you hear about on Facebook, you'll see that we've outfitted our police and fire department to a tune of millions of dollars. They have every tool, and when they want new things, we provide those things. But we also have new development in our city. The Kimberly-Clark will be hiring in January, and so you'll hear more about that. And the Golden Triangle on the northwest side of the city will be starting new road work, which was going to provide assistance to 15 businesses over there. That is new revenue that's going to be coming in, new tax dollars that's going to be coming in. And I can tell you without a doubt, our mayor has done a yeoman's job of moving us forward and moving us into the future. And so I see great things coming, and I'm glad to be a part of it. And I thank you, and I ask you for your vote this November. Thank you.
Is it for her? Oh, you know what? Is that for her? Okay. Sorry, it just came in as you were giving your statement.
Okay.
Question is, there's been a lot to say about charter government. What are your thoughts?
Charter government has its place, and I've never really opposed charter government. I usually oppose it according to how it may be formed. Charter government is something that the people ask for. It's not something that you ask for because you don't like the police chief or a safety service director or a law director. It is because you want to change how you govern. The reason that I like our form of government that we have now is because the state of Ohio, we are ruled by the state of Ohio, Ohio Revised Code, and the state is our watchdogs. Anything that we do incorrectly in Warren, the state of Ohio Auditor's Department is on it. Within 30 days, we get called on the carpet, and has to be resolved. And I like that watchdog thing. I don't like being put into a slot where I got to wait 10 years to change something that's not right. And I get plenty calls from my colleagues in Youngstown who is under a charter form of government, and I'm answering questions to them on how they move. For instance, in Youngstown, their mayor controls the finance department and the law department. You elect ours, and I like that, because if you don't like it, you just unelect us. But and so I'm glad for that watchdog in Columbus, and I'm glad for them watching over. We will be reviewing our auditor's report that we just got, where they walk in our city anytime they want to and go to any department and pull any record, and they tell us what's right about it, and they tell us immediately what's wrong about it. And so I kind of like it. Yeah.
All right, thank you. All right, now we're going to invite up our first ward candidates, Todd Johnson, Joseph Valamont. I think, Todd, you're the only one here, so have at it.
Well, good evening. My name is Todd Johnson, and I am the first ward councilman here in the city of Warren. I have served for 2 terms since 2021, and I am seeking my 3rd term as the first ward councilman. It has been my joy and privilege to serve the city of Warren in this capacity. I have been a Warren resident all of my life, born and raised here, a child of the Northwest Side in the first ward, born and raised on Greenfield Street, and spent all my summers at Burbank Park in somebody's backyard, if not my own. And it's been an honor to come back upon becoming that adult with a career, buy my first house on the northwest side of Warren, which I shared a neighborhood with Pastor Walker and Pastor Stanford, and then buying our second house in the First Ward, and continuing to progress as one of those hometown, homegrown individuals to contribute to the city that has made me who I am. I serve as the pastor of Second Baptist Church, a house of hope, where we've been serving there, my wife and I, for 10 years. I'm a husband, a father of 3 who are all attending Warren City Schools, one of which is a senior, so you pray for your friend as we progress there. But I want to talk about, in my few minutes of introduction, the importance of the council role. A ward council person has a dual role. They represent the concerns and the needs of that particular part of the city in which they live, and it can be anything from streets that need paved or when lots of lights are out and they need to be fixed. Neighbors are not being great neighbors, and you have to find ways to graciously intervene in that. But also, we serve as the legislative body of the city, which means that even though we represent the ward in a particular representative way, no vote or decision we make when we cast those votes just affect our wards. They always affect all of the residents of Warren, Ohio. And we stand beside our administration, as Ms. Rucker said, as a strong council, weak mayor system, which does not mean he's a weak man. It just means that we have power over the budget and power over the legislation. And I believe it takes intellect, experience, and professionalism to wield that power effectively, but also values like fairness and equity and a progressive mindset, knowing that you cannot move forward with yesterday's solutions. We are living in a new era. The world is moving very, very quickly. We still have a strong manufacturing base and opportunity and potential here, but it's not the exact same type of manufacturing that our parents did. We have to prepare new generations for new opportunities, new jobs. And being a child of this region, watching, kind of being born on the tail end of that golden day and living through those distressing economic times, it's a joy to watch my generation not have to send our children away to have good opportunities. But also it's a challenge knowing that we're going to have to retrain a generation that hasn't seen that work so that they can work and that they can be a part of the next stage and next phase of our economic opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Council. First, before I ask my question, as our moderator had mentioned, invitations were sent out to all of the candidates numerous times, some of which respondents said couldn't be here, and then there were some that there was no response from at all. And I just want to make it clear that Joseph Valamont was a no response, and I think you need to know that. Having said that, Councilman Johnson, reflecting on your time in office, what accomplishments are you most proud of, and what areas do you feel still need the most attention?
I appreciate you asking that. I can definitely say I am most proud of the wise and prudent use of our ARP funds. I came on the back end of the COVID pandemic itself, but on the front end of being able to spend those funds, as Ms. Rucker said, first towards streets and infrastructure, which is so important to the forward development of our community. We all know we have a very aging infrastructure, and we've been playing catch up for years. And the water breaks, you see, paved roads, the roads that need to be paved, it's not because we just don't care, it's because we didn't always have what we needed. And so we all put towards that. But I'm also grateful that I put towards the Warren Family Missions community space, contributing over $50,000 to that in a time when we have been begging, as we said, for that type of space for programming to take place. And I was grateful to put towards that. The massive improvements to our parks, including Burbank Park, which is near and dear to my heart, so that my children and children after that can play on baseball fields in safety, playgrounds, freshly paved parking lots, protected by cameras and security. I'm most proud of supporting Trumbull Neighborhood Partnership, the Ohio Department of Development, the Trumbull County Land Bank, in the first major housing development on the west side of Warren in decades, with 4 brand new market rate houses. That means houses that are going to be sold at a price that supports the housing values that already exist, and not only supports those, but lifts them by providing those new houses there and providing programs for first-time home buyers to step into those market rate houses. And that property at the old Emerson site will be able to support more houses as this is successful. That's one of my most, I guess, important things, because I learned the value of home ownership and its path to wealth for young families. I participated in that, having been a homeowner since I was 22, and I know the difference it can make in the lives of our residents and how it can turn the tide as we have been having an overabundance of rentals in some of our nicer neighborhoods. And so I'm proud of those, but I do feel that there's more we can do in pushing the Peninsula Project, in pushing more infrastructure, and making sure that we work with our partners to maximize opportunities to push our city forward.
Pastor Johnson, I'm sorry, Pastor Johnson.
It's all right.
The closing of Sparkle Market on Parkman Road was a major loss for residents who rely on local grocery access. Do you have any plans or partnership in motion to ensure your ward that they have access to healthy, affordable food options?
Thank you for that. And I'm as distressed as most people are because Thanksgiving is coming and my wife needs to get some ham hocks and you know, her greens and all that. The blessing of the Northwest Side is we are blessed. We have had Sparkle Market, but we've also had the Aldi's supermarket, and we've also had the Giant Eagle on Mahoning Avenue. But that does not change the fact that Sparkle played an integral part, not just as a provider of fresh foods, but also as a local employer and as a tenant of a plaza that we need to keep vibrant with Rural King being there. And so I know my colleague across Parkman, Mr. White, is working, and I as well, in any ways that we can to help those companies to attract. And we're probably looking at more of a mid-level or regional grocer that would be willing to move in and work within that space, because it's not just that grocery space, which is very important, but the entire plaza. We need to continue to build on to the success of Rural King, which, by the way, is the largest major retail establishment in the city of Warren in decades, especially on the west side. And I was a Kmart kid when I first bought my first house. Everything in that house came from Kmart, from the TV to the dining room table, to the tools, to the lawnmower. And so I remember what a resource that was, and I also remember what a resource Sparkle Market is. And so I will be working diligently to improve food access. It is important to me, with the work I do with Action, with the mobile market, that we improve food access, not just through providing groceries, but providing the commerce and the economics of purchasing food, because you prove to those companies that we are a viable market where they will want to plant themselves. If we only do giveaways, then markets will not want to come and compete with that if you're just giving everything away while they're trying to sell you something. And so if we want the jobs to come, if we want the economics to grow, we have to continue to not just work on attracting companies, but also work on our constituents to understand the value of being consumers in their own community. And that means not running away to Walmart every time you need something, but shopping in your own neighborhood.
One more question. Being that you are a husband, a father, pastor, council person, outside of prayer and outside of sports with your children and interacting with your children, what are you doing personally to make sure that the work that you are doing continues? So what do you do to have fun or to recharge or to make sure you're taking care of your own personal well-being?
Thank you for that question, and my wife is so happy you asked that. I am very, very busy. Not only am I doing those things, but I'm pursuing a doctoral degree right now, and so sleep is not my friend. But I have learned the value of self-care through travel and getaways. I know my church doesn't appreciate it, but sometimes I do have to get away a little bit more than I did in my first few years pastoring, because it's been absolutely necessary for me to take those little 48-hour jaunts, sometimes all by myself, to a church conference where I'm not preaching, and I just get to sit back and receive, or just lay in a hotel room and don't talk to nobody, or go for a walk somewhere. And so I've learned to embrace quiet time and those sports things, and that's another way of vegging out away from the pressures of life. I get to sit back and sit on a bleacher like any other parent and not have to have an answer for anybody else. But like most people, I have to be aware of our mental capacities and limits and the need for self-care. And it's hard to do. I was raised from a black working family, and you just do everything till you drop. And I've learned that that's not always healthy, because you will drop sooner rather than later. So thankfully, I have a wonderful collection of people around me who will not allow me to work myself down, or who take things off of me, who tell me to go home, an office staff who will say, don't show up today, a wife who will say, sleep in today. and who doesn't mind when I drive off and just don't come back. And I just go for a ride in the woods somewhere like my father used to do. And so I believe that you're not at your best if you're not at your best. You can't serve your best if you're not taking care of yourself. And so every time I sit in that council seat, every time I represent our community, I want to be of a clear mind and a clear conscience, and I want to be refreshed, because sometimes it's in those weary hours that things can take you by surprise and things can slip by you that can end up hurting your community. And so you want to be alert at all times, and so I'm grateful that I'm learning still to do that, and I know you're one of the encouragers of that. So if you see me in the pod one of these days, don't be surprised. I know.
Pastor Todd. Yep. Closing statement, 2 minutes.
Thank you all so much for allowing me to present to you. I am running in a contested race, and my opponent seems like an honorable gentleman who wants what's best for our city, but I believe that I have done a phenomenal job over the first 2 terms. We have had an incredible amount of progress, and I do believe that the voice of a younger, family-oriented individual working alongside our experienced council persons and administration is absolutely necessary, because every time I make a decision, I'm thinking about the opportunities for my children and your children. And I'm used to being the young guy in the room. I was always the young pastor in the room. I was always the youngest representative in the room. And I would often say, not disrespectfully, I'm the only one in this room with kids in Warren City Schools right now. I'm the only one who's thinking about exactly where my kid will be at in 5 years, I should say, or 7 years, where many others might have already graduated, kids moved on, did their thing, and we need that perspective. When you're looking at the challenges of a new generation, and I've worked in job services for 10 years, I know exactly the challenges that our employers are facing with drug use and attendance problems and tardiness and work ethic. I worked in banking and finance, so I understand the budgetary restraints of, you'd love to do it if you had the money to do it, but you have to make hard choices sometimes and pave the 3 streets you can pave and punt the next ones to the next year. And obviously, being a pastor, I understand the human impact and toll of the decisions that are made. I don't just get to make decisions on behalf of our residents. I also marry and bury and bless our residents. And I understand from a personal level that this is not just political gamesmanship. This is real life. This is not just having an odd or a contention with somebody. The decisions we make will decide whether or not somebody can buy a house or be able to build a life here or be able to stay here and not feel like they have to relocate to have an opportunity. And I take that very seriously, and all that I have done and all that I will do will work towards that end. And I ask for your vote, ask for your support, take nothing for granted. Don't think that because I'm a pastor, I'm a win. I need your vote, and I need you to go and vote early. Todd Johnson for First Ward. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. We're going to invite up the candidates for 5th Ward. I think we have 2 this evening. Yes? Yeah, we have. Coming up. You'll each get 3 minutes for your opening statement. Challenger will go first. Yep. And then, challenger first. Seated second. And then you guys can ask questions. Because we have multiple candidates, I want to limit it to 2 questions to each person.
Good evening. Good evening. I want to thank Action for sponsoring this event and all of you for coming out to hear us. I've got a little frog in my throat, so hopefully we can ribbit it out of there before we're done. Dumb joke. I'm Michael Schrodak. I'm running for 5th Ward City Council. I've been a resident of Warren for 61 years, I guess, because I'm 63. When I graduated from Ashland University, and I see all the purple chairs here, it reminds me of my alma mater. They were the Purple Eagles. I think someone else went to Ashland here, too. They grabbed me right out of college, and I taught for 2 years in Mansfield. That was my only 2 years away from Warren. Came back, interviewed for a job at Western Reserve, didn't get it. I was a young guy with 2 years of teaching experience. So I subbed in Warren for a while that year. And one day, Warren didn't call me, I think, because they didn't go back to school after Christmas break until after Niles did. So Niles called me. I saw there was a track job. I ran, I coached, I applied for it, I got the job. The yearbook teacher got sick at the end of the year. You do yearbook? Well, yes, I'm English. I did the yearbook. She didn't come back the next year, so that became my job for the next 33 years. I bought on Central Parkway. It was a nice drive. You just go down Central Parkway to Ridge Road, across Youngstown Road by Kennedy to Ridge Road, boom, you're in Niles in 3.8 miles. I taught, I coached, I advised. I was the department chairman for 12 years. Maybe it was because I was the oldest guy, but you know, I was happy my colleagues gave me enough confidence that I could do that job. I think the most effective way to serve is to listen. And no matter how much I taught my kids at every level from grades 9 through 12, you have to be able to listen. And I think that one thing that I bring is very good communication skills, but very good listening skills. I taught my kids to think critically, to read closely, to write cogently. And I think that's an asset when discussing things, weighing and considering decisions on council. I will have 6 meetings every year, and I want SESCA and I guess it's Kenmore Association to know that I will not sponsor them at the same time as your meetings. So the residents will have a chance to come in and tell me what they want, or at least what they need me to work for. I will present it to council, and then I will bring it back to them. And they can go to SESCA, they can go to my meetings, they can go to Kenmore and City Council. I am an advocate of City Council live streaming. I want people to see what's going on. And like they do with the Commissioner's Office, I want people to be able to call in rather than have your 3 minutes there if you can't make it in. You should be able to call in. I'm going to read a few notes because I'm blind. Is that it? Oh, time's up. Okay. I'll get that back to that in my closing, I guess. I'm going to get a little closer because my hearing isn't the best. Oh, she's giving her open.
And then you guys can do questions.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tiffany Stanford. I am the duly elected person of this term of City Council. Since I took this position, I have been a fierce advocate for the interests of the ward and the citizens of this city. I take great pride in the way I address concerns of the citizens by answering their emails and phone calls, dealing with things as tire dumping, flooding, potholes, and directing them to where they need to get their help. When my predecessor had a huge allotment of ARP funds, I brought attention to the wasteful spending and contacted our 2 neighborhood groups. I rallied them to request and demand money for their projects. Because of that advocacy for the groups, my opponent was determined to make sure that all of those dollars were gone before I took office. Because of her haste, a lot of those dollars were spent outside of our ward. Despite her best effort, there was a small refund that I received. With those dollars, I was able to donate them to one of our neighborhood groups' programs where they cut the grass of the elderly and people who are unable to do their grass. Recently, I advocated and brought a collective of city residents to the meetings to make sure that a significant amount of funds be spent in our ward for a community center to allow for the youth and seniors to gather for resources and programming. It was an initiative spearheaded by our first ward councilman and the mayor. I advocated for those residents of the Southview apartments who were dealing with an infestation, and I also advocated for the lights to be reinstated at dangerous intersections. Unfortunately, I did not have the support of all of council to make that happen. Outside of council, I'm a member of Warren Forward, where our goal is to function as sort of a think tank and offer job training, education. I also host community events such as our Trunk or Treat. I just recently did a community movie night to bring our citizens together. I am also a project coordinator for City Leaders, which is a program where the goal is to educate our youth and next generation about how government works. There is power in the collective, and the Fifth Ward is thriving because we have 2 great neighborhood groups and a representative who cares about the concerns of what needs to be addressed. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Stanford. I'm gonna ask you a question while you're here, since you're up. Looking ahead, if you're elected to a second term, what new priorities or improvements can the Fifth Ward residents expect to see?
Absolutely. Well, our first ward councilman talked about the housing that was available in his ward. We were actually the first location that they considered. I would love to educate our neighbors so that we wouldn't have the same pushback that we had where they were concerned about what type of housing. So I would advocate for those homes to be brought back to our city. There's always been a concern of having a grocery store in our ward. It's a big concern for our neighbors because we do not have a one in walking distance of our ward. So advocate for that and to fill up the empty storefronts in our ward.
Yes, ma'am, Mr. Stanford. Question is, the opening of Dana Street was a major win for the Fifth Ward. Could you please walk us through why the process took as long as it did?
Yes, sir. The process of Dana Street was because Warren is such a great city for businesses. Our council and mayor and administration wanted to give Mr. Allen the best chance to see his project through. But in the process, and 8 years later, it was the concern of those who live in that area and in the city that this road was closed, seemingly with not a lot going on. So, after many 90-day votes that had been going on for 8 years, I got some council members together, we did the research, we talked to the citizens, we talked to the business owners, and we were able to convince all members of council to vote unanimously for that road to be open. So I'm very proud of that.
Okay. So this question is from the audience. Are you running for city council to make it easier for you to run again for state representative?
I am not. I was going to run for city council the entire time. Kathy DeCristofaro and Mark Alberini came up to me and said, well, it's not time. So would you consider running for state senate? I told them no at first, and then they kind of got to me where I live. They started talking about school funding. And I don't know if you know who Dr. Patterson is. He's a friend of mine, and he's the one that developed the Fair School Funding Plan. Now, in our Constitution, it says Article 6, Section 2, that the state will fund only public schools. But we've broken that several times by developing 5 charters. So it was important to me to try to get the Fair School Funding Plan passed, and that was one of the reasons I ran. Now, I got my butt beat, 108,000 to 68,000, but it wasn't for lack of trying, because I traveled through 3 counties and I talked to as many people as I could. I think we put 1,300 signs in the ground and she put 50, and I know that she didn't put any of them in there. She was also trying to close down the lodge in Geneva on the Lake, which was one of the reasons why it came back. When I was a child, my parents used to take us there in the 60s. So I bought a little old place there recently, about 2-3 years ago, because I would go once or twice every summer and just spend a weekend there. And boy, I didn't know what I was doing, because I put so much money into that place. And it's still not sustainable to live there right now, because it's just a summer place. But we're working on it, and I sort of have a special place in my heart. But Warren will always be my hometown, and I don't plan on moving. I guess I kind of strayed a little on that one. But no, I'm not running for state senate, just to assure you of that. This is where I wanted to run all along. Thanks.
Nope, you can stay there. We have one more question for you. Public records indicate questions around dual residency. How would you respond to the concerns?
Okay. Would you elaborate on that, please?
Just as public records indicate questions around dual residency. So I'm not sure what has actually been brought up about that. Have you had any conversations around people's concerns about your residency?
My
status?
Residency, let me explain something about primary residency. 1996, April of 1996, I bought 917 Central Parkway. I got a first-time home buyer's loan. That means it has to be your primary residence. Warren is where I live, eat, sleep, get my mail, have my TV, my email, and my cable. Now, in 2022, October 12th to be exact, I was told about a property. I bought it. It was an old house built in 1910 in downtown Geneva. They moved it in 1920. Some guy from Pittsburgh bought it, turned it into the Pittsburgh Cottage. When I bought it, and I paid cash for money I had set aside, and I bought the land next to it, came with it. When I bought it, it was to turn it into the Airbnb that it was, but I let that thing run out. Everything in Geneva on the Lake is dual residency. That's a town that was founded July 4th, 1869, and they called it Pleasure Grounds at the time. So it's 11 months older than Cedar Point. I'm sorry, I'm a history buff. And that was always a rental property when it was in Geneva on the Lake until December of 2022 when I let that run out, because I put $20,000 into that house, roof, ceiling. My pipes burst because I wasn't there for 6 months. They got 60 inches of snow. The water department said, "You owe us $13,000 for a water bill." Luckily, I had insurance, but that's not a livable house right now. So dual residency, I have 3 properties, but my primary residence is where I live, where I eat, where I sleep, and that is Warren, Ohio, and it's never been anywhere else. And if anybody wants to buy a pretty good property in Geneva on the Lake, if those taxes go up anymore because they're putting a beach across the street, I may have to sell it because I just have my teacher's retirement now. I took an extra retirement account and money Mom and Dad left me to buy that house with cash. But it's never been a residence. I spend 1 or 2 weekends a month there. That's it. And it doesn't have any mail service. So.
Okay. You can actually stay right there and give your closing statement. You've got 2 minutes, and then Ms. Stanford, you can have yours.
Okay, and I got all those, when I read off there, I go way over. So some of the things that I've encountered when walking around to people, and I did go to 2,600 houses. That was nothing compared to the state senate where you had to go 3 counties. A lot of things that they were telling me: speed throughout the neighborhood, slow it down. Don't know what we can do about slowing speeders down, but one thing that I talked to Chief Markle recently and Captain Masucci, and then there was another officer that said a few interesting things that I'll bring up, is to write a few tickets. Because no matter how many posted signs you have up there, and whether or not you put stop signs in there or traffic lights, people are going to speed. And unless they're cited, they're going to continue to speed. So the police officers need to cite more. But what Captain Markle told me was, we're at 62. Our max is 65. I'd like to get it up to 70. And then I brought a bold suggestion that someone who's never served on council would say. I said, we have 7 wards. That's 7 geographical regions. Why don't we put 1 police patrol in each of those 7 wards? And he said, what would that do? I said, number 1, it would deter crime. Number 2, as a resident of the 5th Ward, it would put my and my neighbors' minds at ease. And number 3, it would cut response time down. And then they told me about something that I think we should do, whether my opponent wins or I win. The drone, the police drone, is a great program they were looking at. It's expensive. I don't know if council's going to do it. But the police drone can go anywhere where officers can't go. And unlike our stable cameras in Warren, wherever they place them, the drone has its own camera. So the police officer doesn't have to chase this person through the woods. The drone does it, and it takes pictures. And the other thing I liked is they said they're connecting in with people's Ring cameras. So if you have a Ring camera, please share that with the police so we can catch suspects. Thank you.
Ms. Stanford?
In closing, I'd like to thank the members of Action, I Vote Black, the citizens who came out. I am so grateful and thankful that you allowed me to serve you. Whether I win or not, I am grateful for the opportunity, and I'll always be a fierce advocate for our ward. I take your concerns seriously. I am a member of the neighborhood groups. I will continue to attend and make sure that we thrive together. Economics is important, making sure that we get our fair share of our tax dollars and investment. The ward is changing. It's a lot slower than we would like, but great things are happening for us. Our children are important, our seniors are important, and building community is a great thing. If you know your neighbor is a nurse who works midnights, it's harder to let your children run amok if you know that that'll affect your neighborhood. So bringing us together, voting for things to improve our neighborhoods, and working with all the departments, mentorship from our at-large and members of council who have been on the board for many years now, and always be listening to our concerns, our struggles, and working together.
Thank you. All right, we're going to invite up our candidates for 7th Ward. It's all right. Well, hey, I was just going to go with it. And I believe we have one. So Mr. Ronald White Sr., you'll have 3 minutes for your opening statement, then questions, then 2 minutes for your closing.
I'm a little under the weather physically, but I'm Ronald E. White Sr., 7th Ward council person. I'm also going for my 4th term. I'm gonna just get straight to it, pretty much. The 7th Ward is growing. Got the largest, pretty much, industrial land bank, pretty much, Northwest Boulevard, or Northwest project that's going on right now. The building is built. We have Cleveland Steel Container out there on Enterprise Drive. We also have the Royal King move in. You can tell I'm a little nervous. I'm always nervous when I get in front of people. But we also had WTR, which is a company that just demolished a monstrosity of a building, and all of a sudden now they're growing and also adding jobs. We have so much going on within the city itself. I have dealt with Mahoning, let me get it straight. I have dealt with Community Volunteer Council, helping get a box truck, as far as the other one was up there falling apart. We also helped put a roof on there. Dealing with Trumbull Neighborhood Partnership. We've been dealing with them as far as getting houses together, remodeling, refurbishing, and also demolishing houses within the ward itself. There's so much that needs to be done, and again, some people saying so little time, but we got a lot of things going on. Even dealing with Royal King out there in the plaza. There's talk about how they buy plazas, buy that land bulk, and then turn around there and turn the storefronts into actual storefronts. They're talking about a possibility might be able to get a grocery store there. That's again is pretty much in the foreseeable future, hopefully. But we have so much happening, so much going on. I just, enjoy helping people, wanting to work with people. And again, if they call me, I will call you back. Sometimes I receive calls and the number's blocked, so they must not want me to call them back. But again, I try, or one way or the other. I do a lot as far as when I say I, myself, because you see I'm on a cane, physically trying to do whatever I can with or without it. A lot of people say that, they don't see me out or about. But again, I'm up at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning at times. I do drive around the ward. We got the streets getting done as far as dealing with Parkman Road. We had a bad intersection up there by the tracks and Summit Street, Parkman Road and Summit. Also, too, there's a lot of okay.
Thank you for being here, even though you're not feeling too well, so thank you. The city is working to attract new development while preserving existing neighborhoods. How would you balance growth with protecting long-term residents and small businesses?
Like in the first ward, they got the first 4 new houses that's already been developed. They're coming along quite well. But again, these businesses that's coming in, they're adding jobs.
Again, just like I stated at the beginning, the land bank that I have in the 7th Ward is quite large. And these houses that have came down, there's a prospect of putting new houses there too. So a lot of things are going to be working in our favor to keep our kids here, young adults here, because of the fact is they'll be getting good paying jobs.
Mr. White, I have a question. Residents often say they want to see more visible change in their neighborhoods. What concrete steps have you taken or you will take to ensure progress that's felt at the street level?
In a sense, explain that a little bit more in depth, sir.
I'll just repeat the question.
Okay.
Residents often say they wanted to see more visible change in their neighborhoods. What concrete steps have you taken or you will take to ensure progress is felt at the street level?
Well, a lot of things has been happening within the ward itself. With the ARP funds that I did have, we ended up with $500,000. We used that their money to, well, my ward, I turned around and did with demolishing of houses, tearing down trees, new sidewalks, just trying to do a lot of things that, in a sense, what you just stated, a lot of things that needs to be done. And this was some of the things that some of the neighbors wanted. And I did go out and myself personally, I went out. I'll ask, you see something, say something. So, and the fact is that having these here trees coming down, new sidewalks coming in, people with disabilities or whatever is able to either go down with a wheelchair, mothers with newborns can go down the sidewalk with strollers, kids can ride their bikes on the sidewalks instead of the streets. Again, getting the light taken care of, putting up signs, stop signs, similar to the ones that, well, I think my ward was the first ward that had these stop signs, automatic lights on it, solar stop signs, so you can see them about a block or two away. There's so many different things that you could try to elaborate on. But again, if you was to look around the ward and see what's happening with the ward, things are changing. A lot of things are changing. People are actually doing things that needs to be done to their properties and all.
Well, you can ask him another one. It was two when they were both. If you have another one, ask another one.
So I live in the ward.
Yes, ma'am.
So I would like to know what your thoughts are your concerns about the increased violence in our ward, especially among our young people.
Well, I can say this here on that. No matter what ward you go to, there's violence there, except we inherited it because of the fact is that children raising children is no good. You need adult supervision. You need mothers and you need fathers to actually to groom them into not doing the things that's out here in the street. They need to understand is that the street isn't the only way to go. You know, if you want a job, you can get a job. But a lot of people think that quick money is what it's about. And a lot of these kids that don't have their mothers or fathers at home, actually. You know, mothers have the babies, fathers maybes. And the fathers out there, young, in a sense, young, dumb, and doing things that not necessarily needs to be done, but except they believe in that quick money. That quick money only gets you 2 or 3 places. That's either you're going to jail, you're going to die, you're going to end up being maimed. And again, you mess up your reputation, you mess up your family's reputation, and again, you need to look for help. And again, with all these here different things that's going on around our community, we can help. Like people always state is that you can have all the officers in the world, but nobody has a crystal ball saying, or nobody's a mind reader. I'm gonna go shoot this person. I'm gonna go over here and rob this place. You know, or I'm gonna go over here and get these drugs and sell them over here to them. You know, we're not mind readers. But the thing about it is, though, we just have to come together and work together and try to formulate something. And again, as the pastors have tried, to do a lot of different things. You have a lot of different agencies out here that's actually trying to do things. You have people within the community trying to do things, but we just need to do this here. We need to reach out and try to embrace them and let them know. And you got to start in school. Schools is one of the main things that you have to start at, because again, what they learn in school and then when they get out of school, it is something that, you know, we can try to teach them. We can try to talk to them. But again, one of the main things is that they have their own minds. They grow up without leadership, and that's one of the biggest problems there is. Thank you.
All right. You have 2 minutes for your closing statement.
Well, I'm not nervous no more, but I'm going to just say this here. I've been doing everything I can with the help of the fellow council members, just trying to enhance the ward and enhance the city. We have a lot of things that's going on within the city itself. We're growing, and again, just like Pastor Todd / Councilman Todd Johnson stated, is that, you know, we're going to grow, and we want our kids to stay here. We don't want them to have to move elsewhere. These here jobs that's coming in here is going to be paying $25, $30 an hour. Some of them less, but and yet they have health care and all, and it'll keep our kids here. You have a lot of things that's going on as far as dealing with child care, insurances and stuff like that. We need to kind of motivate each and everybody that we can, especially the young adults who say that, well, I got to go here, I got to go there. But a lot of them don't want to try it. They're afraid to take that step. We gotta encourage them to move forward. We gotta encourage them to do the right thing here within the city itself, within their total community. Everybody needs somebody. And again, we need them like they need us, but we can teach them more than what they can teach us. And by teaching them, you're talking about growing, you're talking about having a wonderful, wonderful life ahead. Everything is going to be fantastic, but you just have to have patience. Wait and see. The city's growing, it's not dying. And I do get tired of hearing it talking about ain't nothing happening here. Look around, things are happening, and all we got to do is just work with them. Thank you.
Thank you very
And
much.
thank you for coming, and hopefully I didn't bore you.
Let us give a thanks to all of our candidates again for participating tonight. I'm going to invite Pastor Jeff Stanford, Executive Director of Action, to come up for some closing remarks. I do remind you that it is not Sunday, so keep it brief.
Amen. Listen, can we give Pastor Joe Walker, Bishop Joe Walker, a great big hand clap of praise for allowing us to use this place. Thank you so much. Elder Walker, amen, for the video and setting everything up. Thank you so much. And to all you all who come out, please give yourselves a hand clap of praise. I want to take a few seconds and thank the panelists, Pastor Odom, Sister Eddington, and Pastor Woodbury. Give them a hand clap of praise, please. And last but not least, these beautiful debutantes. Can y'all stand real quick? Sister Zion and Sister Raina, who will be in the Warren Civic League Debutante Ball on November 22nd. They said you can get tickets from them now. And thank you so much. Listen, I know the candidates want to thank you all for coming out, but now more than ever, they need your votes. We need you to go get out and vote. Voting is on, or the election day is November 4th, right? November 4th. But early voting has already started. You can go out, you can vote now. Listen, vote your self-interest. Vote for those who have your self-interest at hand. So we are excited about what Action is doing. We are one of our greatest initiatives is IVE, Integrated Voter Engagement. We want to make sure that as much of the community will get out and vote as they can. That's what we're asking you. We do not endorse any candidates at all, as Pastor Shane said earlier. We do not endorse candidates, but we want to make sure that all the candidates are represented correctly, and we want to make sure that you say or you do what you say you were going to do. Here's the last thing I want to say before we close, is that I know a lot of you turned in questions that we couldn't get to. We could only get to so many questions, but listen, City Council is open every other Wednesday. Get down there early, sign the paper, and give your questions. You can ask those questions at City Council. Amen? Thank you again so much for coming out. We certainly appreciate you. I don't think there are any other forums for Warren. Is there? No other forums that we know of? So listen, this is it. Make sure you all vote. Please, November 4th, get out and vote. On November 4th, doors will open from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. Early in-person voting. Voting at Trumbull County Board of Election continues through November 2nd. And absentee requests, the deadline to request an absentee ballot application is October 28th at 8:30 p.m. So we want to make sure that you get out and vote. Amen. God bless you. Thank you again. I'll turn it back over to Pastor Shane for closing remarks and benediction.
Yeah. What he said. Yeah. Get out there and vote. Whoever you're voting for, just exercise that right. I got to speak on a panel on nonviolence during Nonviolence Week with Minnie Jean Brown Trickey, one of the Little Rock Nine. It was an amazing thing. One of the things that she reminded me of was that our ability to vote is one of these acts of nonviolence that we get to exercise. And if we don't, eventually we will lose it. And I don't want to be like the sky is falling, but get out there and exercise all of the means you have right now before they say you can't do it anymore. Amen? All right, let us pray. I'm going to pray us out. Lord, I thank you for this opportunity to hear all the voices, all the concerns, and all of the hope and progress for the city of Warren. I thank you for the opportunity to stand among such honorable, great people, and I know that your hand and your spirit will be upon this city today, next day, and all the days moving forward. Be with us all as we leave here tonight and head home. Keep us safe and keep us proud of this city. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. Take care, y'all. All right.